What about Booker did you take away? Did you use some of his approach to the piano?
I try to. Whether I succeed or not, I don't really know. James Booker, if any of you are familiar with James Booker, had very big hands, and he could reach some intervals that I physically can't, capable of reaching, and it drives me nuts because I wish I could. But he would use tenths a great deal. So he'd play these lovely blues tunes using these tenths in the left hand.
Sounds pretty good to me.
So there's a certain color you get when you're playing the blues. And New Orleans blues was always a little bit more musical. The blues is a very vague, catch-all kind of phrase. It doesn't really mean anything, really. But as far as the way they play the blues in New Orleans, it was, specifically as regards the piano, it was often much more eloquent than styles you'd find from other parts of the country. And that was due in large part to what the piano player does in the left hand. So that particular example is to do with a harmonic aspect that James Booker was particularly good at.
Well, most of the people in the room are musicians in some sense or another. You want to talk about that in more detail? So in what way is it harmonically distinctive?
As far as New Orleans music is concerned, in the left hand.
Yeah. It's not just the bass part.
No, it's not just a bass part. With James Booker, and you look at Jelly Roll Morton too, the bass is the left hand is very, very important. It's important in any kind of piano music. Not necessarily more important in New Orleans music, but at least with somebody like James Booker or Mac Rebennack, it's the way you voice the chords. You can voice a lot of passing chords. So if a song is if a song is telling a story, if you like, you start on the one chord and you go around a series of chord progressions and end up back in the one chord. This is feeding back a little bit, by the way. It's a matter of how you get from point A to point B, C, D, even all the way back around to the one chord again. And if you're careful about it and employ as much taste as possible, you can use all sorts of lovely substitutions, and it's like embellishing a story rather than just itemizing the salient points. You can actually get from one to the other, and in the process you bring the listener along with you. It's like taking somebody on a journey. So you could, for example, go from C to E as a passing chord to get to A minor, instead of just going from C to A minor. So you can do this in several ways. There's all kinds of different ways. You could simply play an E chord, which would be, in its most simple form, is a bit ugly. Or you could do it like this. You could go. It's a subtle difference, but here you're using B minor as a vehicle. And then that whole chord is being voiced in your left hand. So it's a passing tune. So you can play the whole chord progression just with your left hand. And you can carry it on. So you can do all this stuff in the left hand. Of course, the left hand doesn't necessarily just play by itself. Everything complements everything else. But if you're careful in the left hand, you can set up a nice bed and tell the story, and then your right hand is free to play solos and embellish and put the icing on the cake.